I'm Delegate Neil Parrott. I'm here in Oakland tonight. There's an announcement tomorrow. I'm about to announce for Parrott for Congress. And people have asked, why am I doing this and what am I all about? And I just wanted to give you just a brief summary of why I'm doing this tomorrow. District 6 is Garrett, Allegheny, Washington, Frederick, Montgomery counties. Frankly, I don't think that each one of those counties is being represented very well right now in Washington, D.C. I think we need someone who's from the district and someone that agrees with the values of Western Maryland voters. That's one reason I want to go to D.C., to make sure that I actually represent the folks who live in District 6, including me. I live in that district, and I'd like to represent that district. There are so many things that we need to work on in D.C. One, I'm a traffic engineer, and I really care about transportation. And so right here in Garrett County, US 219 is a big deal. We need to get some build funds so that we can have US 219 be a nice north-south route. It's already been widened a little bit by the state highway. We just need to widen a little bit more to go to Pennsylvania. And if we could just connect that part of Pennsylvania that's only 2 lanes to the 4-lane section, that would create a great north-south pathway where trucks could get off of I-68, maybe even get off of I-81, which brings me to the next project. I-81 in Washington County, that needs to be widened all the way from the West Virginia line, where it's being widened right now. Phase 1 is going to be complete very soon, but it needs to go from there all the way to the Pennsylvania state line. And then we go over to Frederick and Montgomery counties, I-270. Anyone who's from the area knows it's a disaster. That should have been widened 20 years ago. And actually, elections have consequences. Governor Ehrlich, when he was in office, wanted to widen I-270. I was working at the State Highway Administration at the time. I saw the I-270 multimodal corridor study, and we wanted to move forward with that study. And Governor Ehrlich, at the very last minute, said, hey, can you also add this one new alternative? The alternative, express toll lanes. That's how we could pay for this huge, expensive project. The people in the new lanes would be tolled, and the existing lanes would be free. He could have gotten it done. Had Governor Ehrlich gotten a second term, I think we'd see I-270 widened right now. But as Congressman, I'm going to push for federal funds. I'm going to also work with Governor Hogan, who right now is looking at a project that costs no federal money, no state money. It's all private money to get it built. So let's move on. Talking about pro-transportation, I'm pro-patient. My wife April and I, we started the Hagerstown Tea Party right when President Obama was elected. You know, one of the biggest issues that came up right away was freedom, and specifically freedom for our health care. We don't want a government take over the healthcare system, and yet, unfortunately, in our country, that's what we're seeing right now. We've got to roll back a lot of these requirements from the Obamacare that has passed so that we can bring our cost for medicine and our cost for seeing a doctor back down to a level that makes sense. Right now, it just doesn't. It's too expensive, and a lot of that is because of overregulation through Obamacare. We need to get it back to the private market so that people can choose their doctors. People can choose where they need to go and the procedures that they want to have. We shouldn't be limiting procedures. We shouldn't have socialized medical care. And if you listen carefully to the health care moving forward now, or even new hospital regulations, it's not about the individual getting the best care for them. It's about how can we treat society as a whole. You know, I don't believe in societal care. I believe in health care for the individual, and that's why the individual has health insurance. So that's one thing that's very, very important to me moving forward. And then we look at the pro-life issue. You know, right now in DC, our tax money is going for abortions. We're funding a large part of the budget for Planned Parenthood, and we know that 90% of their business is for abortions. They're actually the largest abortion provider in the United States. We have got to stop funding Planned Parenthood. That's a good start. I'll talk about the Mexico City policy in a different video, but I just want to say pro-life is very, very important to me, and no taxpayer dollars should be going towards abortions. Now, one other issue that's very, very important is education. We need to make sure our kids have the best education. We should have the best education in the world. We should help our kids become the best, be the brightest, get out and know the most so they can excel and exceed everywhere else in the world. We want to have the best education, and that won't happen with the current system. We just keep pouring more and more money into it and expecting different results, and we're not getting any different results. We're actually getting lower and lower test scores as we go along. You might remember about 10 years ago, they revamped the SATs so that the scores went up, but that was a fake going up because they revamped the test. We don't need to revamp tests. We need to get students that score better on tests because they have better education. And one way to do that is to allow parents to have more control, more choice. They can choose where their kids go to school. I think it's very, very important. Vouchers, other ideas that give control back to parents so they can make the best decisions for their own kids. Now, one other thing is the border. We've got to enforce our border, and that's the Mexico-American border, other borders coming in where the Coast Guard sees people coming in. There was a big drug bust because of a submarine that they just caught. You know, fentanyl is literally killing people. And it's not produced here in the United States. It's coming over our border. We can control the deaths of fentanyl if we can control our borders. We've got to close that Mexican border, and we've got to have better regulations coming from China to try and keep the fentanyl out of our country, out of the hands of our young people and other people who are using it and dying. It's very sad, and it needs to stop, and one way to stop it is by building the border. I could go on, but I just want to let you know, I'm a common sense conservative. I've been elected, this is like my 10th year, and you can count on me. You can see my record. I've been very, very consistent. If you send me to Washington, D.C., you already know what you're going to get. Someone who is for the people, someone who cares about the people, someone who cares about conservative values, and will help get government out of our lives and allow us to have more control and allow us to make decisions on our own that will help our families and help our community. So I ask you to please take a look at some of these other videos below for more information, and ask you to support me as we go forward towards the next elections in the year 2020. Thank you.